What's up, everybody? I'm Coach Zach here with Team Criticalbench, and today we're talking about your side butt, specifically your glute medius. I'm going to show you how to treat it yourself, how to stretch it, and how to strengthen it. Let's get it. First, let's talk about the anatomy. All right, now that I have a pelvis, thank you, fascia man, we can get into the anatomy of glute medius, because you're not going to be able to heal it if you don't know where it is. So you have your pelvis, right, your ilium, and the glute medius is a fan-shaped muscle that goes all along the outer crest of the ilium. So this is where it is. And then all of these muscles from the ilium come down and they form a single point where the muscle attaches to the femur, the thigh. So again, all along the outside of the ilium, coming down into the thigh bone, the femur. Now, there's a couple muscles that actually rest on top of the glute medius. You got your glute maximus, which is a big muscle that covers the whole posterior part of the muscle. But you also got your TFL, which covers up the front part of the muscle. So there's only a little bit of the muscle that's actually exposed, because the other muscles are superficial to that. They're on top of that. But you can still get into the glute medius by going deep to those muscles. The main function of the glute medius is to stabilize your pelvis when walking or when standing on one leg. Now, because of where the muscle is on the ilium, it also has a little bit of internal rotation of the hip as well as external rotation of the hip. So a little bit of internal, a little bit of external, but its main function is to help stabilize the pelvis when walking or when standing on one leg. It also abducts the leg, right? So moving the leg away from the midline, that's a function of the glute medius. Now, a lot of problems can go wrong with glute medius. So something that you can test for yourself and see if you feel weak in it is stand on one leg. So by standing on one leg, if you don't feel stable, right? If you feel like kind of collapsing onto that hip, then that's glute medius being dysfunctional, right? So you should be able to feel nice, strong, and stable standing on one leg. Also, if you have some serious hip hike as you walk, so if you look in the mirror as you're walking, if as you step, your hip tilts. So if as you're walking, your hip tilts, then that could also be a dysfunction with your glute medius, if your hip tilts, right? So as you're walking, kind of collapse onto that hip, or it's tilting, you gotta check out glute medius. Now, even though glute medius is only going from your ilium down to your femur, it's actually not that big of a muscle. It can also cause knee pain. It can also cause knee valgus. Knee valgus is where your knees collapse in. You might experience that as you squat, your knees not being able to externally rotate. It could be a problem with glute medius, right? If your glute medius isn't working, then your knee is not necessarily going to be in its correct position. So if you have problems with your knees, if you have knee valgus where your knees collapse in, glute medius is definitely somewhere that you should check. Now I'm going to show you how to release your glute medius, how to get in there and massage it yourself. Now, obviously, there is no substitute for trained hands, trained human hands, right? If you can find yourself a good body worker, a massage therapist that can get in there, nothing's gonna beat that. But for right now, I'm just gonna show you with some equipment. So first, we'll use a foam roller, just your basic foam roller. You're gonna lay it down. And then from here, you're gonna bring, let's say I wanna do my right side, you're gonna bring your right ankle over your left thigh. And then instead of being directly on it, you're gonna kind of turn a little bit towards that side. And then from here, we don't wanna just be rolling back and forth. That's not really doing much. What you wanna do is kind of search. So like, let your knee fall open, find that spot, take some deep breaths, and just kind of move a little bit, find that spot. Once you find the spot, you wanna hold it for anywhere from 15 to 30 seconds, maybe even up to a minute. Take some deep breaths until it starts to melt away. Okay, so find that spot, lean into it, deep breaths. Maybe some little back and forth, right? Not rolling back and forth, but you can do some little frictions. It's nice and slow, back and forth. Okay, if that's not enough, then you can move on. Use a spiked ball, right? A little bit bigger ball. You can even use a soft ball. Just come to a ball, same thing. You wanna find that spot. This time you can even let that knee fall open. You can cross it over, whichever one helps you feel it better. This is really intense with the leg up. So what you can do is keep it down and just really find there. Remember where that muscle is, right? It's all along the ilium, coming down to right there on the femur. So you wanna go throughout all the front part of that ilium, middle part, and back part. Obviously, you're also gonna get the other muscles that rest on top of it, but that's okay. Again, find a spot, see if you can relax into it. Deep breaths. And finally, if a bigger ball is not enough, you can use a lacrosse ball. Same thing. Find the spot. Ooh. This one might be really intense if you're trying to bring that leg up. So you can just let that knee fall down, find that spot right there. And then right here, breathe and see if you can relax that muscle, right? So if you're on it and it's a lot of pressure, that muscle's really gonna tense up. Breathe, draw your awareness to that muscle and just let it relax. Now I'm gonna show you how to stretch your glute medius. So you're gonna lay on your back, knees bent, soles of the feet down. You're gonna bring your ankle on top of your thigh. Now we don't wanna bring it too far up the thigh because now we're getting into the deep hip rotators. You wanna bring it up so it's right around the level of the knee. Now from here, going back to anatomy, you have to remember that the glute medius is basically coming from the ilium down to the femur right about there. So we wanna bring these 2 points further away from each other. From the ilium to the femur, we wanna get them away. So to do that, from here, what we wanna do is get a little bit of a hip hike, right? So you wanna bring this hip away from you and this hip towards you. So the leg that's up, hip away from you, the other leg, hip towards you. Okay, from here, you're gonna bring your hand to your thigh and you're gently gonna push away while maintaining that hip tilt. Again, getting these 2 points here further away from each other. And then again, breathe into it. Now from here, you can do some different forms of stretching. You can push, hold for 3 to 5 seconds, release. Push, hold, 3 to 5 seconds, release. Maybe going a little bit more each time, push, hold, and release. You can also do a more static stretch, holding for maybe 30 seconds, hold that, breathe. Again, getting those points further away. This next stretch is the modified fire log. So you're gonna come into tabletop, hands and knees. Let's say I'm staying with the right leg. I'm gonna bring that right leg forward and then cross the right ankle in front of the left thigh. Now for some of you, this might be way too much. Just stick with that first stretch until you can do this. From here, this back leg, instead of having it point directly back, I wanna angle it about 45 degrees. So instead of having it straight back, angle it a little bit. From here, before we move any further, what I want you to do, I want you to stick your butt out. So if you know cat-cow from yoga, I want you to really stick that butt out. Little arch in the spine, stick that butt out. Let's get a lot more into that glute medius. So instead of just being here, sending your hips back, stick the butt out. Now from here, breath in, exhale, hinge back. You can even, might be more comfortable for you to come to your forearms, breath in, hinge back. Again, you can do it the same way. You can come back, hold a couple seconds, then come back. Remember to keep that butt sticking out. Good, you can hold it. Keep sending those hips back, deep breaths. Now from here, if you can do that no problem, we're gonna come into a full fire log. So from here, come back up to your hands, and then we're gonna have a seat. So if legs stay the same, you're just gonna come back, have a seat, make sure that that right hip comes down as well. So if I'm in this seat, both hips are in contact with the ground. From here you can adjust, make yourself more comfortable. Your knee might be up here, that's totally fine. And then here you can just put your elbow, put your arm on the leg, some deep breaths, just hang out here. Again, you can do the same way, pulse, push, relax, 3 to 5 seconds, you can hold it. You can do more of a yin type stretch where it's not as intense, but you hold it for 3 to 5 minutes. But yeah, make sure that you can do this first one comfortably before you come into that full fire log. Now I'm gonna show you some of my favorite exercises to help strengthen that glute medius. This first one is a standing hip hike. So what you wanna do is you wanna get something that you can stand on with one leg that's not too far off the ground, right? A yoga block is perfect. You can use a small step stool. But from here, you're gonna step on it on one leg. If you have a hard time balancing, you can hold onto a stick or do it up against a wall. But from here, if you take a look at my right hip, I'm just gonna let it collapse out to the side. So I'm just letting my hip collapse, letting my hip tilt, right? Now from here, what I wanna do is undo that. So I wanna come right back. You can pay attention to this free leg. So basically what I'm doing is at the hip, keeping the knee straight, I'm letting that foot come down towards the ground by tilting my hip and then undoing that. So basically if this is my hips, tilting, and then tilting, and then sticking my butt out, and then plugging it back in. It's all glute medius right there, on top of some other stuff, right? The other side, looks the same. Let the hip collapse. You see this leg getting longer, looks like it's getting longer, and then gets shorter. So letting it come down, and then. Second one is a single leg deadlift. So start with no weight. Obviously get the movement down, make sure you feel stable, then you can add some weight. I'm gonna demonstrate it with no weight for right now. But basically you're gonna stand on one leg, knee slightly bent. Now from here, first you wanna get good with the traditional deadlift. Remember, it's a hip hinge. I'm not rounding my spine. So from here, hinge your hips back. Again, avoid collapsing onto that hip, so keep that hip in. And then from here, all it is, hinge. You can touch the ground and then come back. Hinge, touch, come back. And you can do this with dumbbells, you can do it with a kettlebell, you can do it with a barbell. So again, knee slightly bent, avoid that collapse. Come down, and then, right? A lot of other stuff, more than just glute med is working, but glute med is definitely working in a single leg deadlift. Final one, side plank. So, come into a side plank. Make sure that your elbow is stacked directly over your shoulder. We want to stack the joints. And now you can do the first version. Maybe side plank is too much for you. You can just come up and rest that knee on the ground. All right here you're getting some glute med action. You can abduct the leg. Both glute meds are working right now. You can hold, you can pulse, and breathe. That's easy. Move on. Come to a full side plank. You can stay here. You can lift that leg. You can do some pulses. A lot of glute med action going on right here. If you're doing these, you can hold it. If you're just doing the static, hold it for really however long you can. Go for 30 seconds at first. If you're doing the repetitions of the leg raise, maybe you go for 10 to 12, depending on where you're at. All right, thank you all for watching. I hope you learned something. Your glute medius is an extremely important muscle for so many reasons, and now you have the tools to be able to make it more functional. But before you go, I have a very special gift for you. It is our very own Unlock Your Glute program. Wait, that was a sick catch. So you got book here, you got DVD. This is a comprehensive program that's gonna help strengthen, stretch, prime your glutes, not just glute med, but all your glutes. You can do this before your workout. You can do this as a supplementary aspect of your fitness program, not the only thing you do. It's got body weight stuff. It's got exercises you can do in the gym. Comprehensive Unlock Your Glute program. If you want it, check out that pinned comment down below. Don't forget to go ahead and comment in the video. Give us your thoughts on the glute medius. Maybe you try these techniques. As always, I'm Coach Zach with Team Criticalbench. We'll see you next time. Yeah.